The chairman's report is attached for your record. It's also on the agenda. I'm going to briefly summarize some of the points. There's a list there of all the meetings that I've attended on your behalf as board chair since the last board meeting. I did attend the Clerks for Art student art exhibit opening with Sharon Bach and with Mrs. Brill. And one thing that she didn't mention is that the Forest Hill Culinary Academy provided the hors d'oeuvres that night for the attendees, so they did a great job. So congratulations to Forest Hill Culinary. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak with the county commissioners. As you all recall, I met with all 7 of them over the last several months to discuss the impact fee issue as well as finding land for us to build schools in the area where the development's going. I'm sure all of you know by now that I spoke yesterday, and not because I spoke yesterday, but the county commissioners made a decision finally yesterday after I think 3 or 4 years to go ahead and approve the increase in impact fees for the schools, and the impact fee for a single-family home went from approximately $1,866 to almost $7,000, so it was about a $5,000 increase. I'd urge all my fellow board members, if you have the chance, please send a note of thank you to the county commissioners for supporting the schools. The impact fees for some of the other things they did not approve, but they did approve the school impact fee increase. I also met earlier this week with the new supervisor of elections, Wendy Link. She and I had a nice discussion about the working relationship between the school district and the supervisor's office. As all of you know, they use about 200 of our schools for polling, about 140 of our schools, I believe, for polling locations. And one of the things that I discussed with her was any possibility of removing the polling locations from the schools, especially in the 2020 election when we have concerns, our ongoing concerns with security and having so many strangers coming onto our campus. If she would remove the polling places, we wouldn't have to deal with closing the schools, and that would would loosen up the calendar a little bit. Unfortunately, Mrs. Link indicated that there are no other places in a lot of the precincts to have the polling locations. So we agreed to disagree on whether or not she was going to continue using the schools. So by law, the supervisor has the authority to use our schools upon her request. I put my notes with respect to that meeting. I gave them to the new Chief of Staff, Mr. Tierney, and he's agreed that he'll be contacting her to coordinate the next election when they're using our schools. At this time, I'd also like to address House Bill 7123. An emergency good cause item has been added tonight under new business. It is BRD 3, call to action. The school district of Palm Beach County opposes provisions in House Bill 7123 that would invalidate county tax referendum language approved by over 72% of the voters to explicitly exclude non-charter district schools from receiving voter-approved funds. The ballot language is actually on your screens for those of you that want to see it. Why is House Bill 7123 an issue for Palm Beach County? The HB 7123 includes language that would require voter-approved referendum funding to be shared retroactively with charter schools beginning with the upcoming school year. It disregards the school district's November 2018 ballot initiative that indicated referendum funds would be for traditional district schools only. Voters agreed to raise their taxes in support of traditional public schools, not charter schools. Charter schools already receive a proportionate share of funding from the state, including dollars allocated from the Department of Safe Schools and the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act. What is at stake for students, teachers, and schools if HB 7123 passes as written? The district would be forced to cut more than $22 million from the 2019-2020 school year budget. Initiatives related to enhancing school safety and mental health services for students, improving teacher pay, and maintaining arts programming will be jeopardized. Potentially overrides the will of Palm Beach County voters who overwhelmingly approved a ballot measure with explicit language to use their tax dollars for non-charter district schools. The following that you see on the screen is the exact language approved by the voters, and you'll see there that we were very clear when we said it was for the operational needs of non-charter district schools. It also provides that the Independent Oversight Committee would oversee the expenditure of the funds that the taxpayers are giving us. That would not be possible if the money was turned over to charter schools, because neither this board nor the Oversight Committee has jurisdiction to oversee the expenditure of those funds that we would be required to turn over if this bill passes. What can the Palm Beach County community do to help? You should contact your legislators today and tell them. This bill was filed, or it came to committee yesterday. It's imperative that you get to your state senators and state House representatives as soon as possible and ask them, do not override the will of the voters in Palm Beach County, especially counties like Palm Beach, where the ballot language was explicitly stated that tax dollars were to be used for non-charter district schools. And ask them and tell them that legislation related to sharing voter-approved referendum funds with charter schools should not be retroactive. You all supported by 72% margin that the money that you agreed to raise your own taxes to give to the Palm Beach County School District was to be used for our public schools only, the traditional public schools, to increase teacher pay, to make sure we had safety concerns handled, and to bring mental health professionals into the schools. This bill would jeopardize this board's ability to carry forward the promises we made when you voted to give us the money to handle that. So there's a link on the board website. There's also a link there's a link on the district website. It's also attached to the agenda item tonight. So if you can find on that list, you can find who your state reps and your state House representatives are. Please take the time to contact them before they start voting on this bill to tell them that they should not override your vote, what you asked us to do with the money that you gave to us. Would the clerk please take the roll?
District 1, Barbara McQuinn.
Here.
District 2, Chuck Shaw. Here. District 3, Karen Brill. Here. District 4, Erica Whitfield. Here. District 5, Frank Barbieri.
Here.
District 6, Marcia Andrews.
Here.
District 7, Deborah Robinson, absent.
We have quorum with 6 board members present. Also joining us on the dais is our student council president, Nolan Ursoy, Inspector General Lung Chu, General Counsel Julianne Rico, and Superintendent Dr. Donald Fenoy. I would like to remind those speaking tonight that this meeting is being transcribed in real time so that it can be viewed with closed captioning. Please speak at a reasonable pace so the transcribers can fully capture what you are saying. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Royal Palm Beach Community High School Navy Junior ROTC, who will be presenting the flag, and here to sing the national anthem is a student choir from Emerald Cove Middle School who perform under the name Cantabile. Tried that 3 times, so please stand.
Left, colors, halt, right, left, base, order, colors, ready, cut, carry, colors, ready, cut, present, colors.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner
March. Left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, left, colors, hold, forward, arm, forward, march, left,
Great job, everyone. Thank you. We'd like to acknowledge the principal of Royal Palm Beach High School, Dr. Jesus Armas, and the principal at Emerald Cove Middle, Dr. Regina Smith-Feeman, whose schools performed here this evening. Board members, we have 9 sets of minutes on the agenda for approval this evening. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Shaw, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Items added this evening are PRD 3, P2, and P3. As to PRD 3, good cause exists due to the timeliness of pending legislation that will be discussed and to allow voices to be heard with state legislators. Items added P2, job description, P3, personal addendum. Good cause exists to add these items to allow for positions to be advertised and employees to begin in their new positions as quickly as possible. Mr. Superintendent, do you have any items to withdraw?
Yes, sir. I'd like to withdraw CI1.
And any items that you are, the only item we have pulled so far this evening is LAC1. Any other board members want to pull any other items this time? Seeing none, we didn't motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Mrs. Brill, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Do we have any disclosures or abstentions from any of the board members? Seeing none, Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, sir. I'd like to say good evening to everyone. I'd like to start today's comments with a big thank you to the Mullins Group, a talent search firm in Delray Beach. Their philanthropic arm, the Mullins Foundation, generously donated $5,000 to the district school service department to pay off school lunch accounts balances at Watson P. Duncan Middle School and William T. Dreyer High School, with the remaining funds used to pay off negative balances for students on reduced meal plan status at Palm Beach County Schools. Thank you to the Joe Mullings and his team for your generosity in assisting our students. After School Professionals Appreciation Week is April 22nd through the 26th. After-school programs in our district provide more than supervision. They provide academic enrichment, homework help, exercise, and in many cases, evening meals for our students so they can extend their school day in a safe and nurturing environment. Thank you to the thousands of after-school professionals who we have in programs in elementary schools in the district. I know many working parents, including the Fenoy family, could not do it without your support, the support you provide. We really appreciate you. April is also Autism Awareness Month, and in honor of the month, I want to highlight one student in particular because he has really impressed me with his success in our schools and how he has overcome the challenge of autism. Michael Gorlano, a student in the autism unit at Boca Raton Community High School, earned his 200-hour certification as a yoga instructor through the yoga program at Boca High. I'm actually looking forward to maybe spending some time with him. It'd be interesting to see if he can help a 300-pound man do yoga, but I'm up for it. As a way to give back to the program that he feels gave him so much, Michael hosted a Yoga for Autism fundraiser on Friday night and raised more than $1,000 for the autism unit at Boca High. Great job, Michael. We are so impressed with your determination and your dedication to your school. Just a quick school police update. 4 more school police officers were sworn in on Friday, bringing the total number of school police officers added to our department since July to 72. I commend Chief Kitzerow for his leadership and his entire team for their work in onboarding these new recruits. In addition to that is National Telecommunicators Week. We want to recognize the work of our police dispatchers who work 24 hours a day to keep us safe. At this time, I'd like all the school police officers in the room to please stand to be recognized. There we go. All right, absolutely. Thank you to the men and women of our school police department. I want to congratulate Mr. Ed Tierney, who has been appointed as the Chief of Staff for the school district. Mr. Tierney has spent most of his career in the school district of Palm Beach County serving as a teacher, an assistant principal, principal of John I. Leonard, and most recently as instructional superintendent in the Central Region. Mr. Tierney is a former Marine and a seasoned leader. I am confident that he will continue to bring the leadership to the Chief of Staff position, where he will oversee the Communications Department, the District Legislative Liaison, and serve as a support and a direct counsel to my office. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Tierney for this accomplishment. Ed, stand up, Ed, so they can see. Ed, stand up so they can see. This is Ed Tierney, everybody. And finally, I want to embarrass but bring up Mr. Dr. Frank Rodriguez. Frank, stand up, Frank. All right. So, absolutely. Frank, come on up here. Come on. So I'm going to make Frank come up front because now he is soon to be, once his contract is negotiated, but he will be a member of the superintendent fraternity. He will be the new superintendent in Beaufort County Schools in the beautiful South Carolina, Hilton Head. Dr. Rodriguez has been with this district for over 27 years, and I know his board member and all the board members and all of his colleagues across this district are just so proud. And I've only known Frank for closely, intimately for about a year. But when I tell you this young man has been, picking my brain, and when I tell you he's so humble, and I think that community made the right choice. They made the right choice, and I am excited about another great professional out there working hard for kids. And so congratulations to you, sir, and we are here to help you as you embark on this new journey. Congratulations. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my comments for today.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Board comments, Mrs. McQuinn?
Yes. And I know that the camera will be zooming in on me, so anyone who notices the boo-boo on my forehead, I can tell you how I feel about the sunscreen issue, because yet another Mohs surgery for a basal cell on my face from being a native Floridian. So forgive me for that, but we're hoping it's somewhat covered up, but also a good lesson to all of you to see your dermatologist and wear your sunscreen. This past Saturday, it's not often that you want to do something for work on a Saturday morning, but I was invited to attend the Classroom Teachers Association Teacher Leaders. These are classroom teachers currently in our schools who are participating in leadership programs, not necessarily to be an administrator, but to be teacher leaders in their schools. This was the culminating activity from their year's work for their action research projects. Their topics were so perfect. I can't remember, I think there were 16 individual presentations, and it was fun, really, to see these teachers who are so in charge in their schools and in their classrooms to be absolutely terrified in front of their peers. It was just a really good time. But the teachers, I think maybe there were 50 in the room, and they were also supportive of each other, and that's exactly what they encourage their kids to do in their classrooms when their students are presenting. But their topics ranged from exceptional student education inclusion, chronic absenteeism of students, not teachers, involving parents in their students and their children's education, and teacher leadership pathways. And one of the pieces that I took away was how important it is for us as a school district to remember that teachers, in order for us to want them to remain satisfied in the classroom, we need to encourage them to self-select into some leadership roles, hoping then that they will be content to stay in the school center, but grow in front of their students and make us a better district. But I have absolutely no doubt. I will be sharing some of the suggestions I gave, because they had to present their research. which was more in detail what they had to turn in written-wise. But they presented their research sources, and they then looked at obviously identifying the problem, but then looking at some possible steps for improvement or for solving. And they touch obviously our curriculum, our HR. So they had some really good information. So I'm really proud of our teachers for tackling that, really for nothing but their own personal growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McQuinn. Mrs. Whitfield?
Thank you. I just wanted to take a real quick moment to mention an event that we had a couple weeks ago in Broward County that I got to participate in. A former employee of ours, Joe Sanchez, and one of our vendors now, is actually really took the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas tragedy to heart. And the part that I want to say is about community service, because when he saw that tragedy happen, what he decided to do with that moment was to look around and see how he could contribute to make the world a better place from where he sat. And I think that that is something that we can all take away and really focus on when we think about community service. What he did is, from his expertise as a facilities person and building construction person, is he decided to do a safety and security summit. And we met down on April 5th at the Signature Grand in Fort Lauderdale. There were many people from the construction industry there, lots of school district personnel. We had Mr. Oswald there. Chief Kitzrow came to talk about school security from a police standpoint. We actually even had Nolan Ursoy, the only senior I knew to ask to help. So that was how he was able to contribute. And then Larry Clausen from also our facilities department came. And what was so special about the day was we really took time to talk about how we can make our schools safer from a building standpoint. It's not something that I normally work on. So it was really an interesting perspective. I actually learned a lot about something called SEPTED, which was not something I knew anything about, but now I know that I need to keep the bushes in front of my house trimmed. That's basically what I learned from that. And I think it is really an impressive thing. I want to say formally thank you to Joe Sanchez for taking on this task, and to everyone who contributed from the district to make it such a successful day. I think when we think about, as I said, community service, we just need to look at how each one of us can contribute to our community and really find the part that you can do, and then do that to the best of your ability. And I want to thank him for what he did that day, and how many people in the community are working every day to make our schools safer. I'd like to say a huge thank you to them as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield. Mrs. Brill?
Thank you. So as Dr. Fenoy mentioned, April is Autism Awareness Month. For me and for countless others, that's very special. I cannot tell you how blessed I am to have a child with autism. He changed my life and has given me more joy than words could ever express. To those of you who may hear me tonight who have a child with autism, or love a child, or know a child with autism, rejoice in them. They all have special gifts, and I promise you, they will change you. So, first of all, happy Easter and happy Passover to everybody. I want to take a moment to congratulate Coral Reef Elementary School on its amazing 20 years. Do you know that our very own Deputy Superintendent Keith Oswald was a former assistant principal of Coral Reef Elementary School? And Dr. Janice Andrews was with a principal from 1999 to 2002. Congratulations, Principal Bobby Moretto. We love you. I also want to thank my former employer and mentor, Clerk and Controller Sharon Bach, for the 4th successful year of her Clerks for Arts program. Through her partnership with and support of Coniston Middle School, students' colorful paintings and decorative tiles are displayed across Palm Beach County and later auctioned off, the funds from which are donated to Coniston Middle School. Thank you again, Clerk Bach, for your unwavering support of our students. And congratulations to our very own student government representative from my one and only District 3 high school, Nolan Ursoy, this year's prom king at Park Vista Community High School's prom. It's hard to believe that graduations are around the corner. It's time to start celebrating our fabulous school district, all of our employees, our students, and their families. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Ms. Brill. Mrs. Andrews?
Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. It's truly a wonderful evening to congratulate Dr. Frank Rodriguez on being selected the superintendent of Beaufort County. Now, I want to take you back. I think I remember you, Frank, when you were a baby, but no, I'm going back to tell you I remember you as a teacher and an assistant principal. I remember you over there at Olympic Heights, and just I saw you grow and develop within this school district. And then I remembered you and Dr. Salzman being on call from the superintendent, and you were told to get to the Glades and improve student achievement. And Dr. Salzman was driving all the way from Boca. I don't know where you were driving from, Frank, but you were out there in the night, in the day, all the time, making it happen in the Glades. So I remember your hard work over the years, and when I heard the news last night that you had been selected to be the superintendent of Beaufort County, South Carolina, I just was so excited because I felt like I grew you up and you made it. So we're so excited for you, and I know that you will do well and you will be very successful. Now, I just returned recently from Tallahassee working with the legislators, the Florida School Boards Association, all of us working together in Tallahassee on issues as it related to the Florida School Boards Association priorities, Palm Beach County School Board priorities, and appropriations for West Tech, trying to get that technical school built back up to where it was before. I want to give a special thank you to Rita Solnett, our local lobbyist, Ron LaFace, and his team out of Tallahassee. We all worked together during that week to be productive. And one big thing I did, Justin Katz, I think you're out there, I got a chance to spend time at the state office for FEA, and they promised they're going to do some things for West Tech. So it was a great week, and I thank everybody for working with us. We still have a lot of work to do in Tallahassee, and we've got to keep on doing what we have to do to get our point across. I'd like to honor and say congratulations to Glade Central High School junior, Patrina Vickers. She was accepted to a one-week United States Naval Academy summer session. That's a big deal. You had to apply from all over the country, and one of our Glade Central students won. I want to thank Terry McIntyre, and I want to congratulate Petriana. You're going, and you're going to make a difference, and you're going to see big things at the United States Naval Academy. And lastly, a sad note, we lost a legend here in Palm Beach County, a trailblazer, our former county commissioner, Maude Ford Lee. She was someone that made a difference here in Palm Beach County to move us into an era where we could have equity for all. Her work on the county commission and the community blazed paths for so many that have come behind her, including myself. She will truly be missed, and I know we'll be hearing more about her as we talk about her legacy and we try to live up to her legacy of equity and access for all. And at this time, I'd like to tell everyone, enjoy the Easter season. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Mr. Shaw?
Thank you very much. Tonight, we have a large crowd, and the reason that all of you are here is we're doing a lot of recognitions tonight for both for students and employees for the wonderful things that happen in our schools with our teachers, our administrators, our students. And congratulations to all of you, because that's really why we're here, is to support the students. And I want to give two special thank yous and congratulations to Dr. Rodriguez. I'm thrilled. I told him earlier tonight that yesterday I was calling every couple hours to check in and see what was going on, and finally found out they didn't make the decision until yesterday evening. And to Ed Tierney, the job of Chief of Staff is a major job in this district with a tremendous amount of responsibility, and I think you'll do an amazing job, so congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. So board members, the chairman's report is attached for your record. It's also on the agenda. I'm going to briefly summarize some of the points. There's a list there of all the meetings that I've attended on your behalf as board chair since the last board meeting. I did attend the Clerks for Arts student art exhibit opening with Sharon Bach and with Mrs. Brill. And one thing that she didn't mention is that the Forest Hill Culinary Academy provided the hors d'oeuvres that night for the attendees, so they did a great job. So congratulations to Forest Hill Culinary. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak with the county commissioners. As you all recall, I met with all 7 of them over the last several months to discuss the impact fee issue as well as finding land for us to build schools in the area where the development's going. I'm sure all of you know by now that I spoke yesterday, and not because I spoke yesterday, but the county commissioners made a decision finally yesterday after I think 3 or 4 years to go ahead and approve the increase in impact fees for the schools, and the impact fee for a single-family home went from approximately $1,866 to almost $7,000, so it was about a $5,000 increase. I'd urge all my fellow board members, if you have the chance, please send a note of thank you to the county commissioners for supporting the schools. The impact fees for some of the other things they did not approve, but they did approve the school impact fee increase. I also met earlier this week with the new supervisor of elections, Wendy Link. She and I had a nice discussion about the working relationship between the school district and the supervisor's office. As all of you know, they use about 200 of our schools for polling, about 140 of our schools, I believe, for polling locations. And one of the things that I discussed with her was any possibility of removing the polling locations from the schools, especially in the 2020 election when we have concerns, our ongoing concerns with security and having so many strangers coming onto our campus. If she would remove the polling places, we wouldn't have to deal with closing the schools, and that would would loosen up the calendar a little bit. Unfortunately, Mrs. Link indicated that there are no other places in a lot of the precincts to have the polling locations. So we agreed to disagree on whether or not she was going to continue using the schools. So by law, the supervisor has the authority to use our schools upon her request. I put my notes with respect to that meeting. I gave them to the new Chief of Staff, Mr. Tierney, and he's agreed that he'll be contacting her to coordinate the next election when they're using our schools. At this time, I'd also like to address House Bill 7123. An emergency good cause item has been added tonight under new business. It is BRD 3, call to action. The School District of Palm Beach County opposes provisions in House Bill 7123 that would invalidate county tax referendum language approved by over 72% of the voters to explicitly exclude non-charter district schools from receiving voter-approved funds. The ballot language is actually on your screens for those of you that want to see it. Why is House Bill 7123 an issue for Palm Beach County? The HB 7123 includes language that would require voter-approved referendum funding to be shared retroactively with charter schools beginning with the upcoming school year. It disregards the school district's November 2018 ballot initiative that indicated referendum funds would be for traditional district schools only. Voters agreed to raise their taxes in support of traditional public schools, not charter schools. Charter schools already receive a proportionate share of funding from the state, including dollars allocated from the Department of Safe Schools and the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act. What is at stake for students, teachers, and schools if HB 7123 passes as written? The district would be forced to cut more than $22 million from the 2019-2020 school year budget. Initiatives related to enhancing school safety and mental health services for students, improving teacher pay, and maintaining arts programming will be jeopardized. Potentially overrides the will of Palm Beach County voters who overwhelmingly approved a ballot measure with explicit language to use their tax dollars for non-charter district schools. The following that you see on the screen is the exact language approved by the voters, and you'll see there that we were very clear when we said it was for the operational needs of non-charter district schools. It also provides that the Independent Oversight Committee would oversee the expenditure of the funds that the taxpayers are giving us. That would not be possible if the money was turned over to charter schools, because neither this board nor the Oversight Committee has jurisdiction to oversee the expenditure of those funds that we would be required to turn over if this bill passes. What can the Palm Beach County community do to help? You should contact your legislators today and tell them. This bill was filed, or it came to committee yesterday. It's imperative that you get to your state senators and state House representatives as soon as possible and ask them, do not override the will of the voters in Palm Beach County, especially counties like Palm Beach, where the ballot language was explicitly stated that tax dollars were to be used for non-charter district schools. And ask them and tell them that legislation related to sharing voter-approved referendum funds with charter schools should not be retroactive. You all supported by 72% margin that the money that you agreed to raise your own taxes to give to the Palm Beach County School District was to be used for our public schools only, the traditional public schools, to increase teacher pay, to make sure we had safety concerns handled, and to bring mental health professionals into the schools. This bill would jeopardize this board's ability to carry forward the promises we made when you voted to give us the money to handle that. So there's a link on the board website. There's also a link there's a link on the district website. It's also attached to the agenda item tonight. So if you can find on that list, you can find who your state reps and your state House representatives are. Please take the time to contact them before they start voting on this bill to tell them that they should not override your vote, what you asked us to do with the money that you gave to us. And finally, Mr. Ursoy sits with us every month, and I checked with Mrs. Rico today, and there is no board policy that would prohibit this. So if the board is in approval from here on out, I would like to make sure that the county council president of the student councils in the county, he's the highest ranking student government official here. He's with us every month. He should be able to participate in our meetings, not only give his report, but if he has issues with respect to items that we are discussing, we should certainly get the students' perspective on that. So unless any of you have any objections from here on out, we'll allow Mr. Ursoy and his replacement next year to continue participating in our meetings. I see all the heads shaking. So, Mr. Ursoy, I know you didn't read the agenda. Probably haven't done a detailed review of the agenda tonight, but feel free to. But we'll help you out tonight. But next month, which is your last meeting on May 1st, if you would like to participate, we'll make sure that you are given the opportunity to do that. So, thank you, Mr. Superintendent. That's the end of my report. And I believe, Mrs. Andrews, you have a motion. Mrs. Brill, do you have something to say before Mrs. Andrews makes a motion?
I was just going to ask, are we allowed to ask a question in response to your comments? Ms. Rico?
That isn't really the protocol, but if it's in regard to the call to action, there is going to be an item on the agenda, so you'll have a chance to discuss it
So
then.
BRD3, we'll get to it later under new business. Mrs. Andrews?
Yes, Chair Barbieri, I'd like to ask for a point of personal privilege.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I move that we take BRD2 to ratify posthumous the proclamation for Miss Emma Speed Hall out of order, vote on the item, then present the proclamation to the family and friends.
All right, Mrs. Andrews made a motion. We have a second by Ms. Brill. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries to change the order of the agenda by a vote of 6-0. Is there, now we'll vote on the item BRD 2, I recommend the board approve and ratify the posthumous proclamation to honor and recognize Mrs. Emma Speed Hall. Motion by Ms. Brill, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. By Mrs. Andrews.
And at this time, I'd like to read the proclamation.
Really, go ahead.
The board. Proclamation of School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida. Proclamation number 1902, April 17th, 2019. The School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida wants to recognize Mrs. Emma Speed Hall, who recently passed away, and issued this proclamation. Whereas Emma Speed Hall passed away on March 4th, 2019 at the age of 99 years, and whereas Emma Speed Hall was born in Jacksonville, Florida on September 13, 1919, becoming a descendant of the West Palm Beach pioneering Speed family. And whereas Emma Speed Hall graduated from Stanton High School, governed by the Duval County Public School System, and later matriculated at Edward Waters College and Florida A&M College before graduating and receiving her degree from Bethune-Cookman College in 1946. And whereas Emma Speed Hall and her husband, Thomas Edmund Hull, a merchant marine, and their son Bertram Hull relocated to West Palm Beach, where she was employed by the Board of Public Instruction of Palm Beach County as an elementary school teacher. Whereas Emma Speed Hall began her first teaching assignment at the former Rodman Elementary School, a public school established for African Americans living in the Pearl City area of Boca Raton, Florida, where she worked until 1957 and then transferred to Roosevelt Elementary School in West Palm Beach. And whereas Emma Speed Hall taught at Roosevelt Elementary School until Palm Beach County schools were integrated, and at that point in history, she was reassigned to Melaleuca Elementary School. And whereas Emma Speed Hall instructed at Melaleuca Elementary School from 1969 until her retirement from Palm Beach County School District in 1981, and whereas Emma Speed Hall did not retire from education and educating young minds upon her departure from the Palm Beach County School District, but she commenced a 25-year teaching journey at R.J. Henley Community Christian School in Riviera Beach, Florida, ultimately retiring in 2006. Whereas Emma Speed Hall was an active and dedicated member of her church, Payne Chapel African Methodist Episcopal Church, for more than 50 years, and up until her passing, served as a loyal trustee, possessed membership with many of the church support and mission organizations. And whereas Emma Speed Hall was active in various charitable and community organizations in West Palm Beach, including Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Inc., the West Palm Beach chapter of Links Incorporated, and she was a member of the Retired Teachers of Palm Beach County. Now, therefore, the School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida proclaims that Section 1, the foregoing rituals are true, correct, and incorporated into the proclamation by this reference. Section 2, the school board wishes to honor and recognize posthumously Miss Emma Speed Hall for the many selfless and countless years of sharing valuable theoretical knowledge with young minds here in Palm Beach County. And Section 3, this proclamation shall take effect immediately this 17th day of April, 2019. It's attested by the School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida, a corporate body, public, Frank B. Barbieri, Board Chairman, Dr. Donald Fanoa, II, Superintendent. And at this time, Mr. Barbieri, we do have members of her family here. We have members of her church. We have members of the community, members of her civic organizations. They're here to honor Mrs. Emma Speed Hall.
So if we want to go down to the floor, everyone, go down there. At this time, Mrs. Naka Nolan from the Communications and Engagement Department will begin the April board presentations.
Good evening, Mr. Board Chair. Let me just make sure. Having some technical there we go. Good evening, Mr. Board Chair, board members, superintendent and staff, and community members. This evening we have 10 presentations. And just an FYI for the audience, you can visit our website at palmbeachschools.org, click on school board, then board meetings for photos from tonight's meeting. And the photos will be uploaded tonight and available by the morning. We begin with a recognition of 16 of our students from SD Spady Elementary School. Back in February, this talented group of 4th and 5th graders traveled to New York City as part of their school's Model United Nations 2019 delegation. 2 of the student delegates, Morgan Probst and Isabel Rodriguez, presented resolutions on the United Nations General Assembly floor to their fellow delegates, representing about 1,500 students from around the world. The students earned their conference trip and achievements by working as virtual United Nations delegates, writing position papers and speeches to help solve issues of global importance, such as alternate energy forms and the eradication of xenophobia. This was an exceptional accomplishment by these students, demonstrating their strong aptitude and the valuable instruction they received at their school. It is great to see our students performing well on an international stage. Congratulations to each of the students for this accomplishment. At this time, we'd like to recognize the student delegates, and I'd ask them to please come forward as I call your name. Sophia Charbonneau, Joseph Florio, Wilman Knight, Liliana Martin, Benjamin McMullen, Hans Peters, Morgan Probst, Nathaniel Singh JD, Lily Tatum, Tosh Tidwell, and Lane Vandermark, and they are all in the 4th grade. And then also congratulations to Claire Boulard Gangel, Isabel Rodriguez, Victoria Torlet, Anna Unmesh, and Bianca Valadares, who are all in the 5th grade. And also congratulations to the teacher coordinators, Hope Atchinson, Lori Bendel, and Eric Gonzalez. And we also want to acknowledge Spady's principal, Miss Rona Tata. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
Guys, 1, 2.
Next, we want to recognize Meadow Park Elementary School for receiving the Exceeding Expectations Award for Excellence for the 2nd year in a row. They are just one of a small number of Title I schools that have been identified as an Exceeding Expectations Award school after comparing FSA results and school grade indicators to other schools with similar demographics in the state. Meadow Park was identified using specific criteria based on Florida Department of Education 2018 school grade data in a number of areas, including English language arts, math, and science. This award is a testament to the excellent instruction being provided at our schools, and it is an acknowledgement of the hard work of the school's teachers and administrators. Congratulations to Meadow Park. And this evening we have Ms. Valerie Bussington, the STEM coordinator, Susan Haig, the single school culture coordinator, Margie Rowe, the former assistant principal, and Valerie Zaloga Haynes, Meadow Park's principal. Let's give them a round of applause. Next, we want to recognize Coniston Middle School for being the first in the school district of Palm Beach County to be awarded the title of Avid National Demonstration School. Advancement via Individual Determination, or AVID, is a kindergarten through post-secondary system that has turned thousands of students into confident scholars who ultimately end up going to college. The school is the first in Southeast Florida to become an AVID National Demonstration School and has earned this esteemed title through an application process, coaching, and an extensive review, which included a site visit from National AVID staff. Congratulations to Coniston Middle for proving their ability to successfully implement the AVID strategies. Here this evening, we have a group of students, as you can see, and we also want to acknowledge the school's principal, Mr. Oscar Otero, Colleen Carney, AVID Instructional Specialist, Magna Dominique, ESOL and AVID Coordinator, Eric Fasone and Judith Vincent, AVID Elective Teachers, Laura Rounds, AVID Program Planner, Ms. Becky Youngman, Manager in Teaching and Learning, and congratulations to all the teachers and the students and the parents who have collaborated to create a college-going culture at Coniston. Let's give them all a big round of applause. Now we'd like to recognize the finalists for Beginning Teacher of the Year and Mentor Teacher of the Year at the elementary and secondary level, and we'll also be naming the winner in each category. We want to first acknowledge the team who were instrumental behind the scenes for these awards. Anthony Doherty, Manager of Professional Development, Jen Curris, Director of Professional Development, Katrina Gaither, Specialist and Coordinator for the Educator Support Program, and Ms. Carlene Millen, Assistant Superintendent. Thank you to them for all their hard work behind the scenes. The Beginning Teacher of the Year Award is presented annually to an outstanding first-year teacher in the school district who has been recommended by their principal for demonstrating excellence. As part of the award process, nominees are asked to answer questions like describing their biggest classroom victory and how they've built relationships with students. Their responses allow the nominees to highlight their experiences and talk about their accomplishments in the classroom. We'd like to recognize this year's finalists, and those that are here to please come forward as I call your name, and then we will announce the winner. So for Beginning Teacher of the Year at the elementary level, congratulations to the finalists, Emily Lay from Northport Elementary, Daria Miller from Clifford O. Taylor Kirkland Elementary, Danielle Stewart from Belglade Elementary, and Amanda Valdez from Sunrise Park Elementary. Great job by each of these nominees. And we are thrilled to announce that the winner is Daria Miller, the Beginning Teacher of the Year. Now we want to recognize this year's finalists for Beginning Teacher of the Year at the secondary level. So those that are here to come forward as I call your name, and then we will announce the winner for that award. Congratulations to the finalist, Yesenia Gonzalez from Seminole Ridge Community High School. Brittany Poliak from Eagles Landing Middle. And Lauren West from John I. Leonard High School. Great job by all of them. And we are happy to announce that Brittany Poliak has been named Beginning Teacher of the Year. Next, we have the Mentor Teacher of the Year Award, which is presented annually to an outstanding first-year mentor teacher in the school district. Nominees for this award are asked to elaborate on why they became a mentor and what characteristics make them effective in their role. The finalists that are here, please come forward as I call your name. Congratulations to the finalists for Mentor Teacher of the Year at the elementary level, Tara Beam from Northborough Elementary. Christine Holt from Belglade Elementary. Rosie Presses from Sunrise Park Elementary. And Andrea Suarez from Highland Elementary. And a great job by all of our mentor teachers. We are pleased to announce that Andrea Suarez has been named the Mentor Teacher of the Year. And finally, we want to recognize this year's finalists for Mentor Teacher of the Year at the secondary level. Those that are here, please come forward as I call your name, and then we will announce the winner. Congratulations to the finalists, Patrick Duncan from Park Vista Community High School. Angela Jill Harden from Forest Hill Community High School. And Shannon Sommel from Independence Middle School. And we're proud to announce that Patrick Duncan is the Mentor Teacher of the Year. And we also want to thank the sponsors who are very supportive behind this award. Thank you to Value Teachers, Barry University, Florida Crystals, and the Education Foundation. Let's give them a round of applause. At this time, we want to recognize Mr. David Alfonso. He is the principal at Palm Beach Lakes Community High School, and he was selected by the Florida Department of Education as one of 5 finalists for the 2019 Principal of the Year for the state of Florida. Yes. He became eligible for the state's prize after being named the school district's Principal of the Year in January. Under his leadership, the Palm Beach Lakes High School has seen a complete transformation in culture and academics, including significant learning gains in each subject and a graduation rate expected to reach 90% by the end of this school year. Congratulations to Mr. David Alfonso for being named the district's Principal of the Year and for being a finalist for the state of Florida Principal of the Year. And we also want to acknowledge the following sponsors for their generosity. Thank you to Missy Siaka from LRP Media Group, Rochelle Kubsch and Danielle Trepek from Office Depot, Mr. Jim Moore from United Healthcare, John Ridley from Johnson Controls, Carla Roderick from Comcast, and the Education Foundation. Let's give them all a round of applause. Next, we want to recognize Ms. Catherine Ribicoff, who is a school psychologist here in the school district. She received the School Psychologist of the Year Early Career Award from the Palm Beach Association of School Psychologists. The award recognizes an outstanding school psychologist in the county in their first 5 years of employment following graduation. The award recognizes a school psychologist who exemplifies professional responsibility, growth, and leadership. Catherine has been with the district for 4 years, and she enjoys advocating for children. She enjoys building a strong rapport with kids and being a person they can turn to, as well as being part of a team that makes a difference in a child's home life, their social emotional well-being, and academics. Congratulations to Ms. Catherine Ribicoff for receiving the School Psychologist of the Year Early Career Award. Let's give her a round of applause. Next, we want to recognize Dr. Leonard Ferrante, who is also a school psychologist in the district. He recently received the Pettway Award from the Palm Beach Association of School Psychologists. Since 2012, the association has given the Pettway Award in memory of Kenneth Stephen Pettway, a longtime Palm Beach County school psychologist. The award is given to a school psychologist annually who demonstrates leadership, dedication to the field of school psychology, and exceptional service beyond his or her daily requirements. Dr. Ferrante has been a school psychologist in the Department of Exceptional Student Education for more than 30 years. He is a licensed psychologist, certified psychoanalyst, nationally certified school psychologist, and recognized by the National Association of School Psychologists as a model field supervisor for aspiring school psychologists in training. What inspires and motivates him is his passionate and unquestionable belief that the practice of psychology can enhance the mental health and emotional well-being of every child, parent, and adult so that they can enjoy life to the fullest and also establish mutually satisfying and respectful relationships and benefit from their educational experiences and opportunities. Congratulations to Dr. Leonard Ferrante for receiving the Pettway Award. Let's give him a round of applause. At this time, we want to recognize Ms. Sharon Newman, who received the Outstanding School Employee of the Year Award from the Palm Beach Association of School Psychologists. Ms. Newman retired from working as a secretarial clerk at Emerald Cove Middle School. She received the award, which honors employees who provide positive mental health and academic support, as well as encouragement to students and families throughout the district. Congratulations to Ms. Newman for her years of dedicated service to the district and for receiving the Outstanding School Employee of the Year Award. Let's give her a round of applause. And next, we will be recognizing the student recipients of the Pat Oliphant Memorial Student Technology Service Scholarship. The scholarship was created to reward outstanding high school seniors for their service and support to their schools and communities in the area of technology. It is funded by proceeds from the district's annual technology conference. The award is named for Pat Oliphant, who taught math and computer science at John I. Leonard High School for 30 years. She encouraged her students to participate in school activities and to get involved in a technology mentoring program to help their peers. Congratulations to each of the scholarship winners for the 2018-2019 school year. Please come forward as I call your name. Congratulations to Kayla England from John A. Leonard High School, who receives $3,500 for first place. Congratulations to Matthew Grabish from Boynton Beach Community High School, who receives $2,500 for second place. Congratulations to Joseph Terrible from Suncoast High School, who receives $1,500 for third place. And congratulations to Andrew Garcia from Palm Beach Lakes Community High School, who receives $500 for being a finalist. And we also want to acknowledge Dr. Adam Miller, Director of Educational Technology, and Ms. Rebecca Smikla, Technology Program Specialist for Educational Technology, for their support. Let's give everyone a round of applause. And finally this evening, we want to recognize a handful of our school police officers and dispatchers whose quick thinking actions averted a potential tragedy at one of our schools last month. Sergeant Michael Brown, Officer Chris Cade, and Officer Michael Lynch responded to a report of an irate parent at Bear Lakes Middle School back on March 11th. An assistant principal at the school had warned Officer Lynch that a parent was heading towards the school because of an incident involving that parent's child. Officer Lynch immediately put the school on a code red lockdown after he noticed what appeared to be a firearm that parent was carrying. That incident became national news. Certainly, we are all on heightened alert when it comes to school safety, and the school district's commitment to placing an officer at every school certainly paid off in this instance, and the swift actions of our officers prevented what could have been a very tragic situation. Thank you to Sergeant Michael Brown, Officer Chris Cade, and Officer Michael Lynch for their actions. And we also want to acknowledge the dispatchers, Eleazar Bautiste, Christopher Letzos, and Maria Rodriguez. Let's give them all a round of applause. And we also want to acknowledge Chief Frank Kitzero, Assistant Chief Regina Price, and Assistant Chief Dennis Weiner for their leadership. Thank you so much. Mr. Board Chair, board members, superintendent staff, and members of the community, this concludes the presentation for April. The Communications and Engagement Department invites you to visit the district website at palmbeachschools.org to learn about all the great things happening in our schools, departments, and communities. Make sure to follow us on social media, available in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. And we also encourage you to download our mobile app in Google Play or from the App Store. Search for a school district of Palm Beach County in either store. Thank you, everyone, for your attention, and have a good night.
Okay, at this time, we have the student government report. Mr. Ursway.
Thank you, Mr. Barbieri. This past month, I was granted the opportunity of attending the South Florida School Safety and Security Summit, which was a great opportunity for me to learn a lot of new things about school security to bring back to my fellow student government delegation. I got the chance to sit on a discussion panel discussing the challenges facing securing existing facilities, and it brought a lot of things to light that I never saw before. So I got to learn a lot of new things, a lot of different processes about school safety, and I'm able to take that back to the County Council we can discuss further things about how we feel about school safety. Out of that, I also got the chance to meet today with Chief Kitzrow about the resolution that the County Council presented in February or January, I don't remember. In my question about it, he was able to bring to light to me the complexity of school safety and everything that goes into it, and I honestly, everything he was telling me was so much. Like everything that goes into it, I honestly don't, and I know many students don't realize the complexity of school safety and how much goes into it. So in him showing that to me, we kind of realized, and he showed me that it might not be the best plan for the resolution that we presented about the emergency blue telephone poles, but there is a lot of great stuff that I got to see that they're doing, and I feel great going back to my county council, telling them how safe we should feel and how good they are doing a job to secure our students. Sorry. Other than that, we have our annual county council banquet next Friday, which sadly I will be being elected out of my position, but it's been a great year. I'll still be here next month to do the last board meeting of the year, but that will be my end of my term. And other than that, I'd just like to say one really quick thing about something that's already happened. Park Vista recently got a lot of media attention for the prom about a month ago, and I'd just like to say from a student standpoint to all the board members, just so you guys can hear it, the school really did everything they could do to make sure every student understand the full complexity and everything, all the information was presented to any student. Any student that comes to you guys and tells you otherwise obviously wasn't paying attention. So I like to say that because I love my administrators and I know they did a great job from day one, and everything that they're facing really isn't fair to them. And I promise I'm not saying this because I was prom king. They did a great job, I promise, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, President Ursoy. Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, I just wanted to acknowledge Mr. Ursoy, and even though the resolution is something that our chief of police and his team could not necessarily agree with, I want to keep encouraging our students to bring us ideas, have the conversation, because it's going to take all of us. And I think the great news about this is that you got an opportunity to hear from our professionals around what we are doing, and you're going to take that information back. But again, always we would love to hear from our students to get their perspective on the things that are happening in school. So again, thank you for your efforts.
Thank you. Well, at this point, we need committee reports. The academic advisory here to report this evening? No report. Audit committee? Mr. Doctor for the Construction Oversight Review Committee.
Good evening. Chairman, Mr. Barbieri, board members, superintendent, staff. My name is Lou Doctor. I'm here representing a Construction Oversight and Review Committee. We had a meeting on April 11th, and this is the results of the meeting. Cork now has 13 members on the group, and 10 of them were present at the meeting. On your consent agenda, item 14, we reviewed several items. The first one was Facilities Construction, FC1, Addison Meisner. It's entitled Chiller Plant Replacement. It was a breaking and wiring change in the amount of $77,000 that was discovered on site and felt necessary in order to ensure the adequate installation and operation of the new air conditioning system for the school. We recommended it move forward by a vote of 9-0. We did have 10 people present. When you hear 9 votes, one person was late arriving, so we give you the actual count. Under facilities construction, we recommended FC2 and FC3, Bear Lakes Plumbing and Bear Lakes Interior modifications, go forward on consent. Under facilities construction, FC4 Verde Elementary School holding parking lot, It was a change order in the cost of $251,000 in round numbers. We recommended it go forward by a vote of 6-4. Whenever there's a negative vote on Cork, I'm required to give you the reasons why 4 people voted against it. The first one was spending $250,000 on a 2-year parking lot they felt was unnecessary. Second thing is being done for aesthetic purposes per the City of Boca Raton's representatives. The parking lot is being relocated after site work had already been completed. And the person urged a renegotiation with the city to try and consider leaving the lot the way it was. Third one was that coordinating any temporary work with permanent work for a new school to make better use of the funds being spent on the temporary campus. And the fourth one is building on the property that we do not own and just being leased. Obviously, on subjects like this, there's a lot of background material that gets discussed in the course of it moving forward. The City of Boca Raton has been outstanding in their cooperation with land use to service the school requirements. There's no land left there, and as you know, concurrency for education was removed as a requirement for new buildings. So it's very, very difficult for the school board. They don't have the money to land bank land, and when you want to add a new school to Boca, as we're doing with the recent approval of the elementary school, land is a major issue. Moving forward, on FC5 Verde Holding School security, there was a change order in the cost of $61,000. That was passed on consent. And the Verde School Holding School covered walkways, a change order of $155,000. That moved forward on a vote to 9-1. The reason for the negative vote was one of the Cork members felt it was too high for a temporary use. Security is required about the school. As you know, Verde is coming and going. So this temporary fencing put in. If that fencing is removed, it doesn't get trashed. It goes into storage so we can use it at a requirement in another school later on. Under purchasing construction, FC1, there were 3 new vendors and 3 vendors recommended for renewal. Cork recommended that one of the new vendors be removed from the list. We felt the legal backup that we received raised more questions that could be answered, and it should be reconsidered by the purchasing department. And I believe that item has now been removed from your agenda. And then PC2 Old Dwight Eisenhower, there are site improvements. It's basically removing the old school and doing the associated electrical and plumbing work necessary to support that activity. And Cork passed that on consent. In summary, you've got 51 security projects underway and a lot of new construction. Cork will be having another meeting in 2 weeks in order to keep up with the flow of paperwork and do whatever we can to make sure that we don't delay as your staff moves forward. Your staff cooperation obviously has been outstanding. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from the board? Thank you, Mr. Doctor, for your hard work. Thank you very much. That'll take us to the delegates and elected officials. Would come up to the podium, please, Omari Hardy, the City Commissioner from City of Lake Worth Beach. Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening. It's very interesting to stand on this side of the dais for a change. The first thing that I want to say is thank you to all of you who work for the school district, and especially to Erica Whitfield and Dr. Deborah Robinson, who, although she could not be here today, invited me this evening. A while back, I put a resolution on our agenda in Lake Worth that would require us to at least reach out to our 2 members of the school district that represent Lake Worth to at least require us to reach out to them to try and meet with them on a biannual basis. And I can tell you that Ms. Whitfield and Dr. Robinson and all of the folks who work for the school district, the principals, the area superintendents have been more than cooperative with us, and we had our first meeting, I believe, back in November. We're looking forward to having our second meeting sometime soon, and it's really the first step to us working a little more closely and collaboratively with the school district to improve our schools and improve the life chances of the kids in Lake Worth. We have been receiving visits on a monthly basis from the different principals in the city of Lake Worth. And I can tell you they have all impressed us. They have all transformed themselves into sort of local rock stars. And that's really, really positive. We're really, really happy to have them all. On this evening's agenda, on the consent agenda, there is a boundary change. And I can tell you I was very happy to see that, because this came to me as an issue that I thought was a little unfair. A little over a year ago, someone came into the city and they bought some property and they wanted to build 85 units of affordable housing that was right next to a school. And the school was already overcrowded. It was Highland Elementary. It was the second most overcrowded elementary school, in the school district. And our residents were feeling as if they had to choose between 85 quality units of quality housing that working class people can afford and good schools. And I didn't think that that was a fair choice. So I reached out to my elected members, Erica Whitfield and Dr. Robinson, and I asked them, is there anything we can do to address this issue? And the first thing that came up was the idea of changing the boundaries. And so it was a very, very long, hard slog. I have to thank Mr. Link also, who's here in the back. And what you guys will be voting on today will be a solution that I think helps not only kids in Lake Worth, but kids, I think, in the area overall. Most of the kids who are going to be moved, they're going to have a shorter commute or a commute that's exactly the same. In addition to that, some of the kids are going to have safer commutes. We had kids who were going to South Grade Elementary who were walking across the FEC tracks and who were walking across Dixie Highway to get to South Grade. And now they'll be able to stay within their communities and just walk south in their own neighborhood to Barton Elementary, which had lots of extra seats, and I'm very happy about that. In addition to that, now all kids are going to attend a school for the first time that's not overcrowded. Again, Highland Elementary was the second most overcrowded elementary school in the district, and South Grade, I believe, was the fourth, and I think it's a positive thing that all these kids are going to be able to learn in schools that are not bursting at the seams. So going forward, I have to say, I really want to continue to work with the school district. You guys have been excellent, excellent partners in the city of Lake Worth. We couldn't really ask for much, and I can tell you we are in the city of Lake Worth considering stepping up to the plate and doing what we can to help out the schools. That includes potentially putting money into expanding VPK hours and VPK seats, because we know that early learning and kindergarten readiness is very important. That includes potentially hiring a liaison, and that includes also our CRA is bandying about the idea of teacher housing in Lake Worth. So I'm very, very happy to have our two elected members here, Erica Whitfield and Dr. Robinson, who couldn't be here. I'm very, very happy to be able to work with them, and our staff here in the city of Lake Worth, the principals, the area superintendents, the teachers, have been fantastic, and thank you guys.
Thank you, Commissioner. We welcome your partnership with the district. Thank you. Mr. Gavrilos from our Education Foundation.
Good evening, Dr. Fenoy, members of the board, honored guests, and administrators. Just a quick update on a couple of programs. Back in September, we projected that by the end of this year, with our Red Apple Supply Store, we would be serving 42 schools, and we projected to distribute roughly $400,000 in school supplies to your teachers. I can happily tell you that as of last Friday, we are serving 42 schools, and we have distributed $351,902 worth of school supplies. So we're going to hit that $400,000 number right on. A lot of that happens with some amazing community partners. Earlier in the evening, Office Depot came up as one of our sponsors of Principal of the Year. As I shared with you at our presentation last month, Office Depot made an amazing contribution to our Red Apple Supply Store. 2 Saturdays ago, 11 semi-trucks of supplies arrived at Red Apple Supply. 11 semi-trucks, that's roughly 234 pallets of supplies, which we are now in the process of distributing. I would just like to share, Dr. Salzman, are you here somewhere? Is Ian Salzman here tonight? He's one of your rock stars, and he's mastered the art of fundraising. The number one reason people don't give is they weren't asked. And the news covered the Office Depot generous donation quite extensively, and I got a call from Dr. Salzman who said, "Oh, we're so happy about this donation. You were so proud, and it's such a great thing." And I could see the train rolling down the track, and he said, "I want some." And I said, "Okay, how much do you want?" He said, "I've got 8 schools that all have 90% free or reduced lunch, and I want supplies for all of them." And I said, "Dr. Salzman, that's why we're here." And so all 8 of those schools, 7 of whom are already Red Apple Supply shoppers, 1 of whom we're adding, they're all going to be receiving pallets worth about $1,000 to $1,500 worth of school supplies. So to the other regional superintendents, if you want stuff, just ask. Follow Dr. Salzman's lead. I want to specifically thank Office Depot once again for this incredible contribution to the Palm Beach County School District. They are one of our best business partners. The last partner I want to highlight tonight is Aerojet Rocketdyne. They are one of our partners in our matching grant program for our robotics program, our Subarus we've talked about, and how proud we are of them. I can also share with you that Children of the Swamp, which are heavily populated by students from Suncoast and Inlet Grove. They have not only advanced to the national, they won there. Those kids are going to the World Robotics Championship. They will be competing with robotics teams from all over the world. And so to Children of the Swamp, we give you our congratulations and our salute, and we certainly salute Aerojet Rocketdyne for their incredible support of STEM education here in Palm Beach County. This is what Your Education Foundation tries to do on a daily basis, ladies and gentlemen. We bring these amazing business partners who have exemplary commitment to public education, and we bring them to you with their contributions, with their volunteer hours, with their passion for public education to make our system the best in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Your Education Foundation, serving the needs of the students, principals, and schools in the finest school district in the state of Florida. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your help. Jen Martinez, representing Palm Beach County PTA.
I'm a little shorter. Good evening, school board members, Chairman Barbieri, and Superintendent Dr. Fenoy. It's my pleasure to be here this evening on behalf of Charmaine Postal, your Palm Beach County PTA president. I bring greetings from Charmaine and share some PTA information with you. Advocacy and action update. We are closely watching Bill 7070, which is the voucher expansion bill. PTA does not support diverting any public dollars to outside schools without equal accountability. We continue to advocate for true, equitable, adequate funding for public schools. We continue to watch 7030 closely, and we understand it will go to the third reading next week. Some amendments moved forward today, and one of the main ones did not pass. Our general meeting and training will be April 29th at Safe Schools from 5:30 to 8:30. Our annual awards celebration is May 10th at the Westchester Country Club from 5 to 10 p.m. This is where we recognize our local units for all of their hard work that they've done throughout the school year. On May 11th, we will host the Mental Health Exchange event at Boynton Beach High School from 8:30 to 1 p.m. Many of you have already registered or emailed that you will be attending some of these events, and we wanted to share that it's not too late to register in case you are available to attend. Many of our local units will again be hard at work this summer attending the National PTA Convention in June in Columbus, Ohio, and our annual Florida PTA Leadership Convention at the Innisbrook Resort in July. Your PTA leadership team is here for you. Please do not hesitate to reach out should you have any questions regarding PTA, attending any meetings, trainings, or events. Charmaine would like to personally thank Dr. Robinson for the invite of teaching our history. She looks forward to more informative and educationally relevant programs like this. Thank you very much.
Ms. Martinez, I don't know if you were here earlier, but we could use the PTAs.
7123, we're on it.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure you heard that. Thank you very much.
As the founding member of the referendum committee for 8 years now, Mike, right? 8 years now? Yeah, we're on it.
Okay. Figured you would. Just want to make sure. Thank you. Jennifer Jones, Volunteer Association and Fund of Florida.
Mr. Board Chair, the board members, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I stand before you as a member of the Volunteer Association and Fund of Florida with a coalition of the association with me. I'm a member and an active community organizer, and I stand representing the Haitian community in Palm Beach County. Over 56,000 Haitian American live in Palm Beach County, according to the 2010 census. And it is the largest foreign-born population in the county after Cubans and Mexicans. Yet, we are hard-pressed to find available publication forms and instructions readily available for the Haitian community. As a child of Haitian-born parents, I've often found myself interpreting for my parents at medical exams or phone calls, invoices, you name it. And as a child, any child of immigrants will tell you that we've had to help our parents to do so. I say this because I want to bring in the importance of dual language programs and the importance and the benefit of being bilingual. It forces our children to think quickly and critically. It provides us an opportunity for advancement and growth. It further expands our understanding of the world, and our worldview because it exposes our children to another culture. With a dual language program in English and Haitian Creole, we can birth a new academic renaissance. And you, as board members, have the power to make this happen for our children. Now, we know that there are duolingo programs available. There are many in Spanish, but not much in Haitian Creole, and would really like to see this as something that happens here in Palm Beach County. I'm not only speaking from experience. Studies have shown and supported this claim and have shown that dual language programs in academic settings are beneficial for its participants. There is a study by Thomas and Collier that was published in 2017 that is not specific to Haitian Creole, but it was conducted over 30 years, 16 U.S. states, 36 school districts, and 7.5 million students. And the study demonstrates that these children benefit from being in a program as such. They not only benefit academically, because in comparison to students that are in English-only program or not dual language program, they excel, but they benefit socially as well as behaviorally. The study, as stated, does not specifically address Haitian Creole, but it is worth noting that it does make a compelling argument for duolingo programs. We do have some students that come into our community speaking only Haitian Creole, and they are not represented. And sometimes they fail, not because they're not intelligent enough, but because they don't have the support that they require. And a program such as such would really be beneficial to them. As an immigrant coming here, I remember spending 2 weeks in front of the guidance office thinking it was the cafeteria, knowing that I didn't have the money and didn't know how to get there, but having no one to really guide me and help me in that process. There are plenty of schools that have implemented Haitian Creole programs. Edison Senior High in Miami is one of many. And I really do believe that there is great benefit for our students, not just those of Haitian descent and Haitian speaking, but for those surrounding them as well. The support that it will bring to the community and that they receive from the community will really bring us together. It would really, I would encourage the Palm Beach County Board and its members to take the necessary step to implement more of these programs so that we can see our Haitian children and children that are English speaking as well develop and grow better as members of tomorrow's society. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention.
Normally we don't respond, but I would in this case, Ms. Jones. So our team has begun the process. Thanks to the board members, they have brought it to our attention, and our deputy superintendent and his team have begun that process to look at bringing dual language and Haitian Creole to the Palm Beach School District. So thank you for your advocacy, and I will make sure that the deputy superintendent and his team get with you at this time to talk about you assisting us as we move forward.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. Dr. Deborah Robinson, though she's not currently present, has been a great supporter of us, and we appreciate your time and your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Rhonda Miller from SEIU, Chapter Chair for Transportation.
Good evening, school board members, Mr. Barbieri and Dr. Fenoy. My name is Rhonda Miller. I am a bus driver. I'm also a committee member on VARC. I'm also the newly elected chapter chair for Palm Beach County School District Transportation Committee. I'm also a member of the bargaining committee representing thousands of my colleagues working day and night in the school district. As a proud union member, I believe that we bring collective voices of the workers on the bargaining table to improve the quality of valuable service that the school district provides to our community, parents, and our children. We are the hidden faces, the first and the last to contact our children in most cases. We are at the bargaining table now with the district, where we have presented a broad range of proposals and economic, work rules and conditions. School district is the largest employer in Palm Beach County, the one that can set the standard for all other employers. Bargaining is a process that encourages dialogue, collective learning, working through the differences and reaching at a solution that benefits both parties. Yes, we need more than one raise. We need a raise in the moral of our labor. a raise in respect, a raise in the recognition of those who do the hands-on work, the groundwork, the grinding to make things happen at the end of each day. The kids on the buses, the food that Aldrina Bell prepares to feed our children, the effort Sabrina Adolphin puts to calm an anxious child, the work that our custodians, mechanics, bus attendants do deserve at least one thing: to be heard. I hope that we will keep the process moving, and I wish all of you a very good evening.
Thank you very much. Justin Katz, CTA President.
Thank you. My name is Justin Katz. I'm the CTA President, the Teachers Union here in Palm Beach County. I wanted to come before you today to ask each of you to begin a dialogue with the superintendent and the appropriate district staff to begin moving forward on a provision of not just our collective bargaining agreement, but all of the bargaining units that was put forth last year to look into beginning a pilot program to open medical clinics operated by the school district here in Palm Beach County. This is a mechanism that has been employed in the county fire, in the county police. It's currently being utilized in multiple municipalities throughout Palm Beach County. Miami-Dade School District uses this, among other school districts throughout Florida and the nation. It's a mechanism by which, best case scenario, you're providing an additional benefit to the employees, reduce medical care for basic needs, and increase convenience, because you, as the entity that contracts with the medical service provider to create one or more of these clinics, can dictate the hours and conditions of operation so that teachers and employees who work early mornings or work into the night can go to these clinics at hours that fit their schedule. In addition to the simple benefit and convenience of it, it's been shown that these medical clinics can produce healthcare savings and mitigate cost increases in the future. As you know, we settled a healthcare agreement. All the unions, again, collectively bargained together with the district for healthcare 2 years ago, and it's going to expire after next year. Healthcare costs go up every year. That's just reality in this country right now in the world. We need to be proactive and come up with ideas that are going to limit the increases in those costs. And this is one idea that is out there. There is evidence out there that it has great benefit, and it essentially could provide low to no cost basic health care and prescription drugs to employees of this school district. In order to get this ball rolling, again, a dialogue between the superintendent, yourselves, district staff, essentially you would have to put out an RFP to try to find a medical service contractor that would bring in certified, qualified, licensed, credentialed doctors and nurses, and basically they would staff this clinic that you guys control. Again, it's something that is happening throughout the county. It's happening throughout municipalities. In the city of Boynton Beach, about 2 years ago, we created a healthcare clinic for our employees. The biggest benefit of these clinics is economies of scale. The larger the employee units, the more savings that could potentially be yielded if you can get the usage of employees up. So while in the city of Boynton Beach we have under 1,000 employees and then dependents with them on their health care, we have the ability in Palm Beach County, where we have over 35,000 people on our health care, to leverage economies of scale through a pilot program and see if this isn't something that's going to be of great benefit. So that's one. Please start that dialogue. Again, it was in the collective bargaining agreement by all the unions last year to start investigating it, and through conversation with your staff, it seems like they are in a position to take the next step. It will just require guidance from the school board and input, obviously, from the superintendent and his staff. The last thing I'll say today is in reference to the legislation in Tallahassee. I want to applaud you for your actions in the run-up to the creation of that referendum, allowing for input from all sides, deliberating on the language, and ultimately settling on what is the law as it stands right now. It's one thing for people in elected office to change laws and say what happened yesterday cannot happen tomorrow. It is an entirely different thing to say what happened yesterday can't happen tomorrow, and by the way, we're going to change what happened yesterday so that people who said something no longer count. It's unfathomable to me that in a democracy, that in a county where over 380,000 people voted yes to allocate these funds for a specific purpose, and 0 people voted yes to allocate these funds for what the legislature is intending to do, it is not democracy. You cannot, as an elected body, look at a vote by the people, a lawful vote, and then say that doesn't count, we're changing it. The last thing I'll say is that this is, if anything, proof positive that you made the right decision, because there would be no need for this law, there would be no need for this new language if the existing law was exactly what they argued prior to passage of this referendum. You don't change a law and rewrite it if you believe simultaneously that the existing law fits your lawsuit or your litigation. It's just, it is a blinding hypocrisy and paradox. And again, I want to thank you, because we are one of the only districts, to my knowledge, that was as clear as we could be to our voters. They knew exactly what they were voting on, and it is a shame now that 380,000 plus residents of Palm Beach County are at jeopardy of seeing democracy in our county destroyed by legislators who almost exclusively do not live in or represent Palm Beach County. So thank you for your guidance and preparation on this, and I would ask you to continue to stand strong, because their actions, again, are proof positive that what you did was legal and what you did was in accordance with the law as it stood at the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Board members, we have one item that's been pulled by Mrs. Andrews. It's the FC4 and LAC1 have both been pulled. Is there anything else anybody would like to pull at this time? FC4. All right, we have those 2 items pulled, no others to pull. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Mrs. Whitfield, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. Any discussion? All in favor, all opposed, motion carries 6-0. So let me refresh so I know where that's going to show up. Is it the first one? First item on the agenda will be BRD2. No, we already took care of that. BRD3, call to action. I recommend the board approve a call to action to urge all Palm Beach County taxpayers to contact their state legislators to oppose provisions in House Bill 7123 that would invalidate county tax referendum language approved by over 72% of voters to explicitly exclude non-charter district schools from receiving voter-approved funds. Motion by Mr. Shaw, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. Any discussion? Mrs. Brill.
Thank you. So my question for the superintendent is, and first of all, I absolutely support the call to action, but I think we need to use as many people to help us through that because of the situation. So my question is, are we using our local lobbyist for the call to action to reach out to all the groups?
I'd have to let Ed speak to that. I can speak to what our lobbyists in Tallahassee are doing, which is a lot. So we've been on calls all day, working the floor in both the House and the Senate.
Well, just as a follow-up, I can tell you that from my experience in the past watching Ms. Solnit when she was lobbying for the organization she ran, she knows everybody, all those groups, and so that's her area of expertise, and since Mr. Tierney is new at this, I would ask that you actually, beyond ask, urge you to consider using someone who has local expertise here, who can get all of those small groups, those people that, the parent groups. You weren't here during the red shirt days when the testing is not teaching and all of that, but she has her hands in all those networks, and this is a life or death situation for us, so we can't hold back. So I will leave you with that.
What I was saying in reference to Mr. Tierney working with Ms. Salznet to work on that, he wouldn't be the lead. So he's responsible for all the legislative liaison. So he's already on it, actually.
Mrs. Andrews.
Yes, thank you. I just came back from Tallahassee, Ms. Brill, and we went everywhere. I mean, we didn't have to have that list that many times you have to have. She has her hands on a whole lot of pieces, so definitely. But we have our educational advisory committees all over Palm Beach County. I don't know if anyone's made any connection with them. I mean, you have elected boards that service these different cities and these villages. Has that been done?
Has what been done? I'm sorry. What
Have we made that connection?
I'm not sure. That's what I'm saying. Ms. Salznet will help us organize that moving forward. Remember, a lot of this just happened today, so everything is in process right now.
Okay, we'll just add that to your list, okay? And call me if you need some additional information.
Mr. Shaw?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Barbieri. I think it's important that since this is moving so fast, that it's extremely critical that every piece of information that we share in public is accurate and that there's no conjecture. You know, this is only in committee at this point. There's a lot that happens over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And we need to make sure that what Mr. LaFace is doing, working with legislators on a daily basis, trying to negotiate this thing through, is the only message that's being given from this school board, and that we ensure that there is nothing else being given that would confuse people. So I think that it's critical that as staff works through this process to get the word out, that we get clear information to know exactly what the status is on a regular basis of this legislation.
Mrs. Brill?
Well, just to follow up on what we were talking about before, if there's groups that, such as, I'd like to make sure that we reach out to COBRA, because we've got a bunch of retirees that are out there that will get on the phone, a bunch of retired teachers. We can get it out to some of the different clubs, political clubs. You know, if you want to contact us, and we can give you people to contact, because while Mr. LaFace is doing the lobbying with the legislature, this is a different side of it. And, you know, our legislators will tell you, our local delegation will say, they need help. You know, they need our help. They need our voices. They need our letters. So anything we can do to help, please reach out.
Mr. Shaw?
And the point was strictly that the information that's being given is really been vetted and accurate.
Mrs. Andrews?
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. I do agree with that, but we're paying someone that should be sitting down with our chief of staff as well as the representative in Tallahassee. And certainly we want to make sure we have all the information, but we want to get it into the hands of as many people as possible. That's what I'm talking about. And, you know, when I was there just a few weeks ago, I saw other people from Palm Beach County. So we have different groups coming for different things. So we all have to kind of come together and make sure we get the right information and put it in the hands of those that can make it to Tallahassee, those that can email the Tallahassee, call the Tallahassee, do whatever has to be done. So everybody has to come together, and we don't need to leave anybody out.
I'll make a comment also. I've worked with Mrs. Salnet for many, many years. She's got connections with parents across Florida. She's got the Teaching is Not Testing group. The last time we needed help, she was able to reach thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. So certainly the message has got to be the same, whether it's coming from Ron LaFace or Rita Salnet, but we need somebody here local. That's why the board approved Rita Salnet's contract. So we have somebody here that knows those groups, that will go to the COBRA meetings, that will go to the Facebook pages that this information needs to be shared on. So, Mr. Tierney, I hope that you're taking direction from the superintendent that Mrs. Salnet will be included in the local lobbying here locally with the groups that we have here. That's part of her contract, and I want to make sure personally that we use her professionalism and her experience to make sure that we get the message out, because as Mrs. Andrews said, this is extremely important to this district. It's 20, whatever that number was, $20 million that we lose. We've promised teachers supplements, based on the fact that we had the money, and if the legislature takes that money away from us, we're going to have to go back to our teachers and tell them that, oops, we can't give you the money because the state legislature is taken away from us. So it's extremely important that we use every resource available, and certainly Mrs. Allnutt's invaluable resource that we have right here locally, and I hope you'll use her talents to make sure we get the message out. If there's no further discussion, we'll take a vote on the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. The next item on the agenda is FC4, Verde Elementary Holding School parking. Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, I recommend the board approve change order process request number 1 in the amount of $251,982 to Moss & Associates LLC for the Verde Holding School project number 1661-7390, and authorize the board chair and the superintendent to finalize and execute all related contract documents.
Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Mrs. Brill. Mrs. Whitfield.
Thank you. I pulled this just because I'm uncomfortable with it. I would like to vote no against this item. I just can't get my head around the idea of spending $250,000 for aesthetics when we're looking for funding in so many other places. Thank you.
Paul, respond. Mrs. Paul.
Paul, come forward, please, and respond.
Good afternoon, our board chair, Superintendent Dr. Donald Fenoy, and our board. So again, you know, the city of Boca is leasing this property to us for $1 for us to be able to use as a temporary campus for both Verde and Addison Meisner to temporarily be housed there. In terms of aesthetics, the city of Boca approached us and said they have a plan for that that section where the temporary parking lot is going. So they approached us after we had already cleared. But again, it's more than just aesthetics. They have a plan, as we do, for their property. At the end of the temporary campuses being located there, it will be the permanent site of a new elementary school that we really need in that particular area. So, and the cost, as Mr. Doctor said previously, to actually buy land land that is really not available is ridiculously high. So I think this is the best course of action, my recommendation for the school district.
I just would like also to comment, I mean, I've worked closely with the city on this issue, and I just want to remind my colleagues that the city is donating probably $10 million worth of land to us to build a school. So if they simply ask, please don't use that piece for your temporary school, it's kind of hard to say thank you for the $10 million worth of land, but we don't want to move our parking lot off your property. So I think this was a goodwill gesture on our part. Certainly, if we had to go out and buy the land for that school, we'd have to come up with another $10 million to find the acreage we need, and they're giving it to us for free. If there's any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-1 with Erica Whitfield in opposition. LAC1, revised 2019-2020 school calendar.
Yes, sir. I recommend the board approve the revised calendars for the school year 2019-2020.
Motion by Mr. Shaw, seconded by Mrs. Brill. Mrs. Andrews, you pulled that?
Yes, I pulled it, and I did speak with Dr. Fenoy. I don't know if somebody from his team might want to talk. Each year we talk about Veterans Day. You know, as I've been sitting here tonight, I heard somebody said military. I hear you, Dr. Fenoy, talk about the military. We know that we have to honor our veterans. Every year we're talking about setting aside a day, Veterans Day, to be able to honor the veterans. And here we are again, 2019-2020 calendar, and we've got 2 more calendars coming, and I just want to know if anybody's even talking about it. I'm not at the committee. What's happening with that?
Ms. Andrews, if you look at the 1920 calendar, one of the reasons that we brought it to you today is that we're moving, there was a duty day that was on the Friday before Veterans Day, and the students were attending school on Veterans Day. In light of the complaints we got, what you're getting in front of you now moves the duty day to Monday. It extends the first elementary trimester to one extra day, so the students will be off on Veterans Day for the 1920 calendar.
But is that everybody or just the students? We're talking about
Just the students.
I'm talking about having the holiday, Veterans Day. And this is something we've been talking about for a long time, and here we are still here talking about it.
Ms. Breaux.
Thank you, and I have to agree with Ms. Andrews. I actually made a note about that because we fought hard the last few years to get that day off. And I know we're going to be having a workshop. We're going to be addressing the other calendars, which I've expressed some of my concerns and thoughts to Dr. Fenoy, but I'd like to see us, we've got to make a commitment to support our veterans and to recognize them on that day, and I really do think the schools need to be closed.
If I may, there is a cost associated with that. That would be a paid holiday for a lot of employees that currently they don't get that paid holiday.
Understood.
Okay.
Ms. Whitfield?
Thank you. The only comment that I had for the calendar development committee, as we're getting ready to come back with some of the recommendations from them at our upcoming workshop, is that I really want to preserve Thanksgiving week. I think it is one of the best things that we've ever done for our families and for our students, for our staff. And I think, you know, our attendance is always terribly low during that week anyway. So as they're going forward, I know this isn't specifically on this topic, but as we go forward with this, I'd really like to make sure we preserve that week for our families. Thank you.
Mrs. Andrews?
Yeah, but I did have this conversation with Dr. Fenoy on yesterday, and I hear that Ms. Evans is talking about the money and it's costing money. Yeah, we are here because of our veterans. This is the reason we're alive here, right here in America today, because of our veterans. Every year we talk about this. I don't understand, the 10th largest school district in the United States of America, and we can't make that happen. I just feel that we need to do better than that. We really do.
Thank you.
One of the other, if I may, Ms. Andrews, one of the things we've been working throughout the years is rotating having school on Veterans Day, because many of our students aren't able to participate in some of the community activities that occur on Veterans Day. So we provide activities throughout that school day on Veterans Day so we can educate kids about what Veterans Day is, and so that we rotate that to meet the needs of both.
I just don't want to keep beating a dead horse. It's just truly unacceptable. I'm out in the community talking to veterans, and they're telling me, why can't you get this done, Ms. Andrews? I've served the country. I mean, everything, the banks are closed, everybody's closed, and here we are sitting here. Something has to be done. Every year we're talking about the same conversation.
Mr. Superintendent, would you consider withdrawing this item, bringing it back to us next meeting with an understanding that you're going to look at what the cost would be and how we get that day off for all of our employees, that Veterans Day off?
So I don't know if I would agree with withdrawing it. We could table it. The problem, you have to remember now, this is a committee of people that do this. This is all the unions. So this is not just staff saying we don't want to do Veterans Day. So these processes have to come to the board. And so let's be really clear. When we start talking about adding dollars, that means something comes off the table. But let Ms. Rico respond, and then we can go from there.
Thank you. Just as a point of information, I believe Dr. Fenoy referred to it. There's a committee that has to review this. So if you're going to table it or postpone it, allow for enough time to convene. So it may you're just going to need to use some judgment and discuss when that's going to come back, given the committee issue. And Ms. Perret probably.
Ms. Breaux.
Thank you.
We have a calendar committee scheduled to look at the 2021, 21, 22 on May 3rd. So we could look at this one on May 3rd. The only issue is that it does push back this calendar again, which is for next year, and we've been getting a lot of complaints about the fact that it's not in place at this time.
Let me suggest something. You just indicated that the calendar committee is meeting on the 2020 and the 2021 calendar on May 3rd. And we have a workshop scheduled in June. So I suggest to you that it doesn't matter what that committee does on You need to hear from the board first, so that workshop has got to be scheduled before the committee comes back with recommendations, because their recommendations may be adverse to what the board wants. So I suggest, Mr. Superintendent, that before the calendar committee meets again to discuss the items, the 2020 and the 2021 calendar, that you first have the workshop so the board members can weigh in, we can get the public who have been told they'll have an opportunity to speak on it, and then the calendar committee can incorporate the ideas that the board members want to see in the calendar. It doesn't make sense to me to have that calendar meeting before the board has an opportunity to discuss those calendars.
Thank you. Mr. Barbieri?
It looks like we could have a workshop on May the 8th. Yeah, instead of June 5th. But we have to go look at that, because there's some challenges with the 8th, because you have several of us that won't be here on that day.
So without a doubt, the calendar has been one of the most frustrating things that we've had to deal with. Of course, because I come from New York, we're used to starting after Labor Day. So, I mean, I know that's off the table here. But, you know, we have kids going to camp. The bottom line is that we are the school board and that we can vote no. And so we've got to sit here and come up with a solution that's going to be good for our constituents and good for the school district. And I'm really tired of sitting here and saying, well, we can't, no offense, but it's because you're doing your job, but that it's the money, it's the this, it's that. You know, we can, there's a possibility, yes, it's going to cost money. Maybe we extend a few days, but we do need to respect our veterans. You need to hear us on that. You need to hear our constituents on the start day. So I look forward to us having that workshop, and as Mr. Barbieri said, no decisions can be made or brought to the committee until you hear our voices. Thank you.
Mrs. Rico, if we table this, do we have to have a time certain, or can we have the superintendent get back to us when he can get that scheduled?
You do not have to put a time certain, but you should say until such time as the superintendent brings it back on his own, so that there is no automatic return on the very next board meeting, because without that, that's what would happen.
Mr. Shaw.
I move we table this item until a time that the superintendent has a chance to bring a recommendation back to the board.
All right, and seconded by Mrs. Andrews. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next item on the agenda will be P2.
I recommend the board approve the job descriptions as submitted.
Motion by Mrs. Andrews, seconded by Mrs. McQuinn. Ms. Brill.
Thank you. So I did have a conversation with Dr. Licata, because when I read the job description for the Director of Virtual and Home Educational Services, it's a nice job description, but it's missing something very important. The hospital homebound program is a program that serves our ESE students, and there's nothing in the job description qualifications that mentions ESE. And speaking to Dr. Licata, as he makes his way up to the table, he said that originally it was in the job description and that he didn't know why it wasn't. So what I would like to do, I guess I can let him speak, but then I do have some verbiage. I'd like to add another item under the qualifications.
Good evening, Ms. Brill, and thank you for calling me earlier today. After reviewing again, we looked at number 5, replacing all the students with individual plans, and that would be ELL, ESE, EPs, but as we discussed, I think you wanted to have the specific language of an ESE student or ESE students.
If I may follow up, whoever is in charge of that program has to understand FAPE, no question. And ESE is very different. Our hospital homebound is very different than virtual school. So my recommendation is that we add one line in there, wherever you choose, stating, and I'll make this as a motion, I move that we add a qualification that states understanding of and experience with programs and processes in the area of exceptional student education.
Motion made by Ms. Brill, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. Mr. Superintendent?
Yes.
No, do you have any discussion on that from your staff?
It would emphasize the idea that hospital homebound is almost all ESE students, and that would not hinder or hurt anything. It would actually add and be more specific, as we discussed earlier.
And I do love the idea that you're thinking all means all, but we all know that all really doesn't unless you specify it. So I appreciate it.
All right, there's no further discussion. We'll vote on the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Mr. Superintendent, P2? P3? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was a modification to the, so now we'll take a vote on the motion as modified. Motion by Ms. Brill, second by Mrs. Andrews. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Now P3.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I recommend the board approve the personal addendum as submitted.
Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Ms. Brill. Any discussion? Mr. Shaw.
Just one, I was very impressed with the recommendation for the attorney that's coming from the state attorney's office to be part of school police. I think that that's a super recommendation.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And before we go to non-agenda speakers, we typically recognize those of our employees that have passed away with a moment of silence. So at this time, I'd like to recognize that we lost Sharon White, a behavioral physical needs assistant 1 at Pahokee Middle Senior High. She was born in 1977 and passed away in 2019. So if we could have a moment of silence in recognition of the passing of our employee, Sharon White. Thank you very much. That'll take us to non-agenda speakers. There's 2 podiums up here to save time. I'm going to call 2 names at a time. There's 2 podiums up here to save time. I'm going to call 2 names at a time. Would one of you, whichever, come to that one podium and go to the other? Carl Mohammed and Christopher Knight. I don't see Christopher Knight coming, so if Danielle, Jolie, Dale Hancock, would you please come up to the podium?
Carl Mohammed, I want to say, welcome team players. You know, after receiving the report that we got from the Palm Beach Post, and it talked about after 25 years and a state Florida statute, there's still a little advancement inside of the system as it relates to teachers being qualified to teach what the Florida statute says as it relates to the history of African Americans inside of this United States of America. And it's creating major problems for us because it's creating an environment where a lot of terrorism is going on inside of our community, particularly with the shootings and the other things that you hear about. And we all know that self-knowledge, it produces a different attitude inside of a human being, and with our children not being given the opportunity to receive this kind of information, particularly because that was a or was an unfunded mandate from the very beginning, and then the school system as of yet haven't apparently spent enough dollars in order to have an impact on the lives of our children. And we are bleeding profusely inside of our community as a result of the miseducation that continuously goes on. I know that there are a lot of people that are in line now to be serviced, but I want to remind you that we've been participating in this activity since the school system has been incorporated, and even before that. And one of the other things that are affecting us, it appears that every time we have such conversation that our community get blended into a lot of different dynamics, like talking about us as if we're someone else, and no one really want to talk directly to the problem that exists with the African American children. And Dr. Fenoy, as you was there, you heard of some of the horrors that some of the people that tried to pick this thing up off the ground, like Debbie Range and others, who talked about how when they would take this kind of information to the schools in different places, the reception that they received was very hostile. And many times they wasn't even able to get that kind of activity into the school system. And, you know, it's a shame that we don't have one child, I don't believe, inside of this school district that we have tracked, that we have, well, place some information that we can go now and do an assessment of that child to see if that kind of information is being transferred. And then the disturbing part was to find out that our teachers are not knowledgeable about the some of the subject matter that is needed inside of our community. But I want to say before I go, we have opened up the first educational hospital for non-immigrant blacks. It's a bookstore, and it's located at 411 Rosemary Avenue. And the idea is that when you get ready to call for information, if you need to send someone over to the hospital, it's 411 Rosemary Avenue. Come by, those of you who are on the board, and check out some of the information that's there to help to relieve everybody of the burden of what we're talking about. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming tonight. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Danielle. This is my daughter, Mackenzie. And I'm here to ask the board to implement a new unit in PE system, the Pilates and Yoga. And we all know the benefits of what Pilates and Yoga is. I own a Pilates studio. I am a professor at FAU in exercise science and dance. And I deal with a lot of women and men at all ages that have Pilates and Yoga. And with my young children, my daughter is at Omni Middle School. And I have a younger son. He's in 3rd grade at Del Prado. And I've been training both of them doing Pilates and Yoga. And I was waiting to see what would happen come to high school. But obviously, as we know, the sooner you do it, the better it is. I already see many, many benefits in my children, especially my 8-year-old son. At 8 years old, telling me, Mom, my ankles hurt. I need to do this stretch. My back hurts. I need to do this stretch. So the benefits far outweigh any negative to implement Pilates and Yoga in middle school. High school is too late. It is just simply too late. They're already doing to weightlifting and all these things. They already get hurt. They're already hurt, and I'm already healing them in my studio. So to see the benefits, and I have a lesson plan. I know exactly how to do it. I have a plan. Omni Middle School, her principal has already agreed to do a pilot program there. So I'm just looking at you to help me as a guidance to make Palm Beach County the benchmark to start this in the whole nation, because this is important for our health, the mental prowess of our children, their body image, their self-esteem, not always doing group activities, knowing they can get on a mat and feel empowered, so that by the time that, they're dealing with other issues, they have wonderful self-esteem. And we know what our suicide issues are with kids, and this is just only beneficial. There's no dodgeball hitting them in the face. There's no basketball hitting them in their face. There is no negative at all by implementing this. So I'd appreciate if you could help me continue guiding this through. Like I said, Omni Middle School is already on board to do this, and I'd just like to expand it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hancock. Mr. Knight, if you want to come to that microphone, and Carrie Jones Gallagher, if you would come up to the other podium here on my left. Mr. Knight, go ahead.
So I got the Office of Civil Rights investigation back in March. It's now been 6 months, right? And I found the factual findings to be interesting, to say the least, which now I sort of understand why nobody is responding back to me as to how I disciplined my son in the classroom, right? The teacher reported to a federal investigator with the OCR office that evidently I spoke to my son during the classroom visit on September 7th, that I got up in the middle of the classroom to bring him to the bathroom and change his clothes, and that my son spoke to me outside in the hallway. Now, all those now, when I entered into the classroom, none of those students were doing anything except preparing for the classroom, so why in the world would I not say hello to my own son? I said hello, gave him my kiss on the cheek, and sat down. Then, at the end of the classroom period of instruction, I asked the teacher if I could simply change his button-down shirt into a polo shirt, because that is what the dress code policy that the school board adheres to. And the teacher said, by all means, go for it. So I did. It took 30 seconds. Then we all filed single line out of the classroom, and my son, while we were on in the pathway over to the art, explained to me why the children zigzag in a single file column on the little cement joints. That was the extent of my interaction, right? And that was reported by your own teacher. But that is not what the principal reported to the Boynton Beach police. She reported that I repeatedly disciplined my child in the classroom. She then reported that my child has been removed from 2 other schools specifically because of my behavior, right? And then she made it a point to inform them that I was a Marine Corps veteran to top that off. How in the world do you go from saying hello and giving my own son a kiss on the cheek when I entered into the classroom when there's not even a period of instruction going on? How do you go from that to reporting to the police that I've repeatedly disciplined him? Huh? I've been saying this for months, and not one of you have done anything about it. So what was the fallout of this, right? That bolo was posted inside of your elementary school by your principal or the officer, whichever one, in room 112, right? And then you decided to put my son inside of that classroom to expose him to this bolo, which apparently is covered under Florida State Statute 119, and you still do nothing. The only reason why you did something is because I requested the body-worn cameras worn by the officers that day that was there to investigate and protect my son from narcotic paraphernalia while in the other parent's care. And that bolo influenced that investigation so much so that they spend an entire whopping 60 seconds asking the other parent about the narcotics and spend 19 minutes talking about what a villain I was. That's what your bolo and your inaction have done. But yet you have the audacity to stand in this room and pat yourself on the back. I've contacted you numerous occasions and not one phone call back. Do something. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Ms. Gallagher.
Good evening, Mr. Barbieri, Dr. Fenoy, and school board members of Palm Beach County School District. I am Carrie Gallagher from Hammock Point Elementary, and I'm speaking as an educator. I want to speak about 3 concerns regarding the Grade 2 Palm Beach Performance Assessment that was scheduled to be administered March 11th through the 15th. It was supposed to be an opinion writing prompt, and each assessment has a number. So on our schedule, we knew that number 23 would be an opinion. Concern number 1, the standards for writing in Grade 2 and other primary grades are taught through the Lucy Calkins curriculum. Concern number 2, the Palm Beach Performance Assessment requires primary grade students to read 2 articles, take notes on those articles, and then write an essay using those notes in a separate booklet. The Palm Beach Performance Assessment is given over 2 days. The Palm Beach booklets, the Palm Beach Performance Assessment booklets that were sent to Hammock Point Elementary from the school district's printing department were incomplete, and the prompt did not match the booklet with the articles. I spoke with educators from other Palm Beach County schools, so this error was not unique to Hammock Point Elementary School. The third concern I have is the scoring rubric used for the grades 1 through 5 Palm Beach Performance Assessment. Teachers had taught the standards for opinion writing from December until February. Consequently, there was a 5-week lag between opinion writing lessons and the scheduled assessment window. At the time, informative was being taught. The Palm Beach Performance Assessment for primary grades includes 2 booklets, a note-taking booklet and a student writing booklet. The note-taking booklet, number 23, included 2 articles that were informative. The first article, which is read to the students by the teacher, stopped in the middle of a sentence on page 1. Page 2 and page 3 were blank. Pages 4 through 6 were for their notes. Page 7 had the incomplete second informative article. The student writing booklet, which had the prompt, which was opinion, stated, write an essay that answers the question whether it is better, which is better, gymnastics or basketball. Test booklets were put in teacher's mailbox on Friday. Fortunately, the error was noticed by a teacher on Monday, the morning of the test. Our assistant principal was able to secure correct booklets on Tuesday. Can I have more time?
You can have a few seconds. Yes, go ahead.
So our principal had to type the correct prompt. Teachers were to secure the prompt into the student writing booklet on their own time. The assessment was given on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday started spring break. I was told by our second grade team that this was the most egregious misprint from the county. Teachers rally and do what is right, do what it takes to get the assessment done without interrupting instructional time from other subjects. Concern 3, teachers have asked,
Ma'am.
excuse me, currently the scoring rubric used for grades 1 through 5 is the same.
Ms. Gallagher, I think you brought up enough errors here that the superintendent staff need to address this. Obviously, they're not going to do this evening, so Mr. Superintendent, can you have someone meet with this teacher and find out how this can be fixed?
Yes, Mr. Alwell's team will meet with her right now.
Thank you.
The deputy superintendent will meet with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Pride, would you come up to, Edith Pride, come up to one podium, and Mr. Brenner, Joseph Brenner, come to the other? Go ahead, Mr. Brenner.
Hey there. Good
State
evening.
your name for the record, please.
Good evening. Joseph Brenner, Director of Organizing and Bargaining for the Florida Public Services Union, representing the supervisory, regular, and ECP paraprofessionals units here at the school district. Good evening, Superintendent and Dr. Fenoy and Board Chair and Board members. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm the Chief Negotiator for the union that's helping to land this contract with the school district. And I wanted to, at the discretion of President Alfonso Mayfield, introduce myself to the board. Some of the administration might not have yet met me. I've been the Director of Organizing and Bargaining for a couple years now, but been with the local for about 9 years. I've actually done some arbitrations with the union and school district, so we're kind of familiar in some ways. We started collectively bargaining the full contract for the regular and supervisory and paraprofessionals units, and we're still engaged in that process. I wanted to bring some issues obviously referenced by Ms. Miller previously, that we're looking to land a 3-year contract. Obviously, economics are going to be something trickier in the state of Florida right now, and the union is aware of that. We're also watching HB 7123, the same as you are, because we recognize how much that impacts the work that is done by every member of this school district. We believe in bargaining collaboratively. I've been bargaining the Pinellas County Schools contract over on the West Coast for about 5-6 years now. I've had some help in Lake County with our school district unit there, and even the rinky-dink little, I shouldn't say this out loud, but Glades County over in between here and Tampa, I've had a lot of experience with. So I wanted to reach out to you, let you recognize that the hard work done by the men and women at the school district here. We want to land a fair contract. We know there's some economic issues to deal with, but there's also many non-economic work rule related issues that we look forward to partnering with your district administration, including Ms. Evans-Perret, who I saw here earlier, to land a fair contract between the parties. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brenner. Ms. Pride, would Ronald Laporte please come up to the other podium? Ms. Pride, state your name for the record. No, you can't sit down. You have to stand there, Mrs.
I'm going to stand. I am. You ready?
Yes, ma'am, we're ready.
I can't see that clock good. I ain't start talking yet. Put my seconds back on. Okay. Good evening, Dr. Fenoy, school board members. A special shout out to my principal, Mrs. Renee F., who is celebrating her birthday today. And a thanks for coming to our school to Mr. Frank Barbieri, to Mr. Keith Oswald, and Miss Jamie Wyatt. We haven't seen you yet, Dr. Salzman, but we still love you at Boca L, and you need to get yourself over there. As a Trekkie, that's a person who loves all things Star Trek. Mr. Spark told Captain Kirk that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the fruit when he was dying in the chamber in the movie The Wrath of Khan. So I want to talk to you about the few. Boca L is the oldest and one of the smallest schools in Palm Beach County. We are a Title I school. That means that we have a population with a high rate of free and reduced lunches. Many of our students come from single-parent homes and inter-school never having gone to any academic program before registering for kindergarten. Because we are a small school, a few teachers perform many jobs that aren't in their job descriptions for which we are not paid for. Just had to say that. We also have students that have special needs such as Down syndrome, visually impaired students who may be on the path to qualify for EBD. The problem at my school is that we don't have enough ESE teachers on our staffs. I am aware ESE college-trained teachers are very hard to find, but we have a 0.5 college-trained ESE teacher that we may lose next year. This teacher is outstanding, and that is very high praise from me. However, we may lose her if we don't have the right numbers. What are the numbers? Will we lose her if we are 2 or 3 kids short? Yes, no, maybe so. Come on, people. These are the needs of the few. This year, the 11-day count will fall on August the 26th, and we have parents that won't get their buy-school clothes checks until after Labor Day. Plus, many of our students will not enter the country or register until after Labor Day, and those students will not be counted. We have lost excellent teachers because of this count. When the district gave us back the units, the excellent experienced teachers were hired by other schools by then. We had to hire the sweet, new, inexperienced teachers. Yes, we were happy for their jobs, but we needed the teachers with experience and knowledge to deal with our students. High needs in Title I schools are different than any other schools, and we are all adult enough to acknowledge this fact. The needs are greater. The parents' participation is less. The students' academics are more challenging, and the behavior is even worse. Let's just tell the truth and make the devil a lie. Consideration has to be given to those schools concerning the few. If you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. And we need our .5 ESC teacher and more. Dr. Fenoy, finally, I challenge you to visit every school in Palm Beach County. And if you are, Boca L starts with a B. So you're definitely not going in alphabetical order. And so remember, pay teachers what we have earned, because you can't pay us what we are worth. Have a good one.
Mr. Laporte, I don't know how you're going to follow that one, but state your name for the record, please.
That's what I was going to say, too. Good evening. My name is Ronald Laporte. I am the lead organizer with SEIU in the County of Palm Beach. I have been working with the school district employees for almost 10 years now. I have seen a lot of ups and downs within the district, some good time and some bad time. At FASU, our members believe in the mission of the school district. They are playing their part in ensuring our children have a safe, clean, and healthy environment within the school district. Our members working very hard. They are the behind-the-scene workers. Unfortunately, because of the status as the hidden face of the district, it's very hard for them to be noticed by others, but they're there. What about our bargaining team? Every time we meet, our bargaining team are working very hard also to make sure their working environment is improved so they can perform their duties with respect and dignities. We have said before, the school district is the largest employer of the counties. The school should establish the standard for all the employers. It is not fair to have public sector employees relying on government benefit to survive. Nor it's fair to have the school district employees work in an environment where they feel that their voices are not heard. Our track record as a union shows that we have been a part of the solution, and we are committed to continue doing so. At this time, I just have to say thank you for listening to me. Again, my name is Ronald Laporte.
Thank you for coming. Woodleen Pierre, please come up to the podium. Woodleen Pierre. Okay. I'm not seeing her. We have nothing else on the agenda, so unless the board members have anything, or the superintendent, I'll take a motion to adjourn by Mrs. Andrews, seconded by Ms. Brill. All in favor, all opposed, motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.